the Marlin Model 1895 Trapper in 4570. Let's check it out. Marlin was founded in 1870 by John Marlin, and for over a century Marlin produced a number of different firearms, including firearms for the military during World War I and World War II. But they were really known for their lever action rifles. They were eclipsed by Winchester, which was really popular up until about the late 80s and 90s, when Marlin really took the market. One of the big reasons is the Winchester ejects out of the top, so it makes it a little more difficult to mount a scope. But with the Marlin, you can mount that scope right on top, and it really drove the market to Marlin. Marlin was purchased by Remington, and honestly the quality suffered. But now in 2020, Marlin was purchased by Ruger, and Ruger has really stepped up their game. We're going to take a look today at the Marlin Model 1895 Trapper. They do make some other models, but this is in 4570. And man, the quality of this rifle, we're going to go through it. We're going to do some shooting and testing. In 4570, man, that is a big bore caliber that is really effective. And while you can dial it down to a really milder load, you can up the game with the 4570. And we want to thank Marlin for sending the Model 1895 Trapper for this review. The Marlin Model 1895 Trapper. This is in 4570. Now Ruger owns Marlin, and they have really stepped up the quality. Again, over the years, Remington had bought them and the quality had suffered. So it's really great to see these rifles coming back. 4570 is definitely a very popular caliber for hunting. It's moving at a fairly slow rate with a heavy bullet, and so it doesn't tear up game. But originally, these were adopted by the U.S. military, and that's why it's called the 4570 Gov't. It was adopted in 1892. It served the Indian Wars, the Spanish-American Wars, and the Philippine-American Wars, and it was a devastating caliber. And to give you an idea of size, this is a 45 ACP. Same bullet diameter, but man, this can really pack a punch. And the capacity on the Trapper is 5 in the tube magazine and then 1 in the chamber. Now I have a very special place for Marlin lever actions. My very first rifle that I ever purchased was a Marlin 336. It was in 30-30 caliber. A great rifle, very nice quality. I loved that rifle. I had it for a number of years. And they're getting ready to reintroduce the 336 at some point. The Trapper Model 1895 has just been reintroduced. And then also the Model 1895 SBL. So I'm really glad to see Ruger resurrecting the Marlin lever actions. All right, let's safety check the rifle, and it's empty. It's all stainless steel, has a brushed stainless steel finish to it, 16-inch barrel, so it's going to be that shorter length. The Marlin SBL has a 20-inch barrel, and it has a Picatinny rail on it. I really like the shorter barrel on these 4570s. It just makes it a very handy brush gun. And that's what this is excellent for. I mean, it's a large, slow-moving bullet, and it can take any game in North America, and honestly, it's taken the Big Five in Africa. It has the enlarged lever, and that just allows you, even with gloved hands, to be able to rack it. It's a very smooth action. The bolt is actually a chrome-plated bolt, and it does have spiral fluting on it, so it makes it really slick. Bringing that hammer back, you got 2 satisfying clicks, and then we have a cross bolt safety right here. We do have a side loading gate, which Marlin and Winchester have been known for. Henry has just started incorporating this. This makes it really fast to load. And then with the tube, you can fit 5 rounds plus 1 in the chamber. It does have an integral scope mount here. Then we have the Skinner Peep Sights, and this is an aperture on the back. Then we have a blade sight at the front that's marked in white. The Skinner Peep Sights give you an aperture at the back, and then you've got that front blade, and it really shows up very well. Right here on the end, this is a thread protector for a threaded barrel, which this is excellent. I know a lot of guys that have 4570s, and a lot of times they put muzzle brakes on here because it can be a little punchy, especially if you use some of the higher grain bullets. Or you can fit a suppressor on here, and it has really nice fine threads, and it does have flats to be able to remove this with a wrench. Now the thread pitch on the barrel is 11/16 by 24 inches. Sling swivel mount on the front, and we have a mount at the rear, and it has the Marlin bullseye still marked on here. They've been doing this since 1922. Then it has the Marlin logo on the pistol grip. And then a world of polymer stocks. You know, there's definitely advantages, but here we have the Black Laminate Wood stock. This is going to be impervious to swelling. It's going to be great for weather. I mean, it's going to hold up really well. And the main thing is, it's absolutely beautiful. We have nice texturing on the pistol grip and checkering on the forend. And this has been reduced down so it's not so thick. And it does come with a nice butt pad. And I'll tell you, you start putting some of those really heavy loads, this is really going to come in handy. And the hammer has serrations on it to be able to bring it back really easily. And for the traditional lever action sight, there is a blank in here or a spacer, and you can remove that, and you could put a standard sight on here if you want. The barrel is 16 inches, and it is a cold hammer forged barrel. And the overall length of the rifle is 34.25 inches. But the bead blast finish on the receiver and the barrel, and also your lever, it just makes it a low glare, but yet it's going to hold up really well. Especially if you had this out in the field, you're hunting, you're out for a few days. This is going to really help protect it. Now the trigger action. We're going to pull back our hammer. The gun has been safety checked. So press the trigger. It's just a nice break. There's no stacking, there's nothing in it, which is typical for your lever action rifles. And the trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells, 4 pounds. 3 pounds, 12.4 ounces. When it comes to 4570 Gov't, the 45 stands for the 45 caliber, so it's a 0.45 inches bullet diameter. And it has 70 grains of black powder. Now that's the original load. Since that time, of course, we've gone to smokeless powders. The official bullet weight for the U.S. military was 405 grains, and that's what this is. I mean, these Fiocchi loads really mimic the government load. And that means it's pretty accurate out to about 300 yards. It does have a fairly high trajectory, and you just have to hold over. But when they put in the 500 grain bullets, they were reaching out to 3,350 yards, and those are lethal shots. But typically, a good marksman could shoot out to 1,000 yards. I mean, this is a very capable round. They were used in Gatling guns from 1873 to 1893, and used particularly in the Navy, until it was replaced with the .30 caliber Army. But this round can take any game in North America, and it has taken the Big Five in Africa. There were special loads that were developed with birdshot and a wooden plug, and you could hunt bird with this gun, and that was used for the Army for foraging. So this caliber can take birds all the way up to elephant. But guys, honestly, with the 405 grain bullet, the recoil is not as excessive as you would think. It's actually more of a soft punch. But you can work up loads like buffalo boar, and man, you can really get a lot of good ballistics, but the recoil increases with those more exceptional rounds. We really appreciate Fiocchi for sponsoring the ammo, especially with this 4570. Of course, this side loading gate, even with these long cartridges, seems to go in really nicely. Now taking the model 1895 Trapper out to the range. 4570 is a big bore caliber, and it has some recoil. It packs a punch. Again, we were using Fiocchi 4570. It was a good medium load, still has some really effective ballistics, but there are some rounds out there that'll rock your world. And so it gives you a lot of capability. But with standard 4570, it's just really easy to shoot. The weight of the rifle weighs about 7.5 pounds, and then with the way this fits against your shoulder, the little bit thinner handguard, I really like that. It makes it very pointable. What I really like though are these sights. The Skinner Peep Sights, I mean, it just gives you that aperture at the back. You put the front sight on, and it's really quick to deploy, especially if you're hunting or you come across some predators. And definitely this is good for self-defense as well. I mean, it packs a real punch on both ends. The smoothness of the action with this enlarged lever, it's very smooth action. One of the things about Marlin, especially when Remington owned them, I mean, the quality just went down. And I had shot a few of them, and I was just really concerned about Marlin altogether. Once Ruger purchased Marlin, I knew that we were going to get a better quality rifle. And we did. I mean, it's really easy to load, 5-in-1 in the tube. And then of course, if you want to pop a scope on here, I mean, they've got a rail system right here on the receiver. And then again, if you want to put a muzzle brake on this, that threaded barrel is a great option. I know a lot of guys that have done that because 4570 can really put the rounds down range at a high velocity. And also you can fit a suppressor on here, which is also an option. But with that rubber butt pad, I mean, honestly, it was a pleasure to take to the range. Yes, you do have a little bit more recoil with 4570, but it's very manageable, even with this 16-inch barrel.
I mean, for a 4570 with a 405 grain projectile, I expected a lot more recoil out of it than what we got.
It's nice shooting.
And it's got a threaded barrel. You can put a can on it too.
Oh yeah. Now we didn't mount a scope onto the rifle, which I like to do for accuracy. To me, it just shows more of the effective ability of the rifle when it comes to the accuracy. But we went ahead and shot it with the Peep Sights, and really, I mean, you can get on target without any problems. Without the scope though, sometimes the groups are not going to be super tight. Now the Ruger rifles are Marlin, Mayodan, North Carolina, made in the USA, model 1895, 4570 Gov't. Ruger stamps an R right here with a circle, and that way you know it's Ruger. And the serial number starts out with an R and then an M for Marlin. Now some pros and cons. As far as pros, this is impervious to the weather. The stainless steel, very smooth action, the black laminate stock, the Skinner Peep Sights. I mean, this really makes this a very handy rifle with the 16-inch barrel. And again, cold hammer forged. It is threaded, so you do have some options on the end. And honestly, now that Ruger owns Marlin, the quality has really stepped up. So why choose 4570 for your hunting rifle or for self-defense? Again, used by the U.S. military for a number of years during the Indian Wars and beyond. It was also used in Jurassic World by Chris Pratt. If you saw him running around fighting off the T-Rex, he had one of the Marlin SBL models, which is just the 20-inch version of this with the pick rail. But it's a great brush gun, great to be able to handle. Again, it's very compact, and yet it has that recoil and the capability. And it can take any game, again, in North America or even the Big Five in Africa. So it's a very capable round. As far as the downside, you know, it's definitely got more recoil than, let's say, your 30-30 or your 270 or some other hunting calibers. 44 Magnum, some of those that would go into a lever action rifle. But it gives you a lot of capability, and you can tone that down to some manageable loads unless you want to up it if you have some really dangerous game. And so it gives you just so many options. There's a lot of choices with ammo as well. And typically, in most hunting stores, ammo is available. Right now, here in 2022, we're just getting back into the ammo availability. But 4570 has been around for about 140 years, and so it's definitely proven itself on the field of combat, but also as an excellent hunting caliber. Now, the retail price on the Marlin Model 1895 Trapper is $1,345. Of course, going into your local gun shop, you know, you can find market price is typically less. And really those prices are very comparable to your Henry rifles that are of the same design. But now with Ruger taking over ownership, we're going to see these coming in with a lot more quality. And so I'm really excited about Ruger putting Marlins back on the map. So guys, Marlin's back in the game, and they're putting out really high quality rifles. And it's good to see that. I mean, Henry obviously has been one of the top quality rifles out on the market for a while. And now that they have their side loading gate, the popularity has increased. I mean, this is a really good quality rifle. The laminated stock, the brushed stainless, the cold hammer forged barrel gives it a lot of strength. And when you're taking this out in the field, I mean, this is going to make an excellent option. And again, we really appreciate Marlin for sending the 1895 Trapper for this review. Now, we really appreciate Sportsman's Guide for being one of our sponsors. And they give a $20 off every $100 or more purchase using Sootch, no 00. And they have all kind of outdoor related, camping, hiking, you name it, they've got it. But one thing that I use them probably the most for is their military surplus from around the world. And if you join their buyers club, you get a better price and you get free shipping on most items. So check out Sportsman's Guide, it's a great resource. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America, long live the Republic. And it's coming in right at about, okay, I don't know what it's coming in at. This is the Marlin. This is the Marlin, and the overall length of the rifle is 34, and the overall length of the rifle is 34. Still got crap in my pocket.
It ain't everyday carry. It's everyday can't get it out of my pocket.
I need one of them there sticky holsters for my ammo.
Like trying to find something in your wife's purse.